Hi, this is Brennan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and this is another episode of The Strange Worlds of Songling. I'm going to be talking about this setting that I'm creating for a campaign where I'm going through all the stories in Strange Tales of Songling to kind of create like an afterlife campaign. Again, this is something I've talked about before, but I want to use it as a way to handle total party kills and that sort of thing. And it almost doesn't matter what system I'm running. I could be doing Righteous Blood or Ogre Gate or even another game, and my characters die. I can just have them, create a character on the fly based on their character using the paths, and then they enter into this underworld, this afterlife. And I'm still hashing out the details. I don't know how closely I'm going to cleave to mythology or not. I'm still doing some research in that respect. So I'm deciding how much freedom I'll have to sort of just be creative. And today I read the story Mural, which I think might be called The Painted Wall in some translations. And this is one I've talked about before, actually. It's also one, there's a lot of stuff in Ogre Gate based on this one. It's about a guy named Mung Longtan who goes to a temple with a man named Zhu, who's like someone who passed one of the provincial imperial exams. And they go to this monastery, and I think it's a Zen monastery. There's like a Zen statue when they get there. And there's an elderly monk, and there's a mural of these heavenly maidens scattering flowers. And the character Zhu gets sucked into the mural, and one of the women that he noticed in the image seduces him. He has sex with her. He gets chased by guards in black armor, and he eventually leaves when the monk of the temple bangs on the wall and sort of tells them to come outside. And then the monk tells them that what is it that he says? He says illusion is born in the mind. And so the idea being that because this character Zhu had lust in his mind, that's what he was subjected to in the mural. And so I kind of like this idea. At first I was reading it because I'm sort of going through these and thinking, how will I make individual courts of hell that I'm trying to design? And I was thinking of, with Mural, it would be easy to just kind of take the mural concept of this place that you can go to. But I had a few other ideas. One was I was thinking maybe I'll just use this as a foundational concept of how things work in the setting. Sort of like this idea of the things that are in your mind are what produce the illusions or the threats that you have to face. But then I also thought, what if there was an individual court where the characters have to, where all of the threats and all of the challenges and everything are very customized to the characters and customized to their particular weaknesses, their particular, predilections, that kind of thing. And so it would be like, if you're like afraid of spiders, you'd face spiders, that sort of thinking. And a third thought I had was, a whole court where it's sort of like oversaturation of the senses and art, where artwork, music, plays, all of these things can come to life and become a threat to you. I hadn't quite thought it exactly through how I would do that, but I liked that core idea. Again, sometimes with horror settings and horror adventures, you have a cool idea that might work more in the sense of a story, but it won't work in terms of being gameable. So I want to make sure whatever I decide is gameable. And again, I'm just kind of going through these initial sort of stories, just kind of getting flashes of ideas and just jotting ideas down. I haven't mapped out anything yet, and this is still in the early phases. And again, this is not for publishing. This is just going to be my personal campaign, but I'll post about it and stuff so people can follow along and maybe get ideas of their own. I want to help encourage people with Strange Tales of Songling because it's a setting that I really like. But I did write down some notes to myself, and so my key concepts here are that this is an afterlife, that there's a hell basically for each adventure, and that if you succeed perfectly by the time you get to level 10, because there's 10 hells and there'll be 10 levels and 10 adventures, then you can escape. What succeeding perfectly is going to mean is, number one, that you succeed in the adventures themselves. Those are actually part of the trial the characters are undergoing, is the adventures. The other bit is if you gain a point of karma every single level, and you get 10 points. That would be sort of like a perfect score at the end of the game, and that would allow you to either, go back to the body of your old character and get some more years of life, or move on in some way, or escape the cycle. I don't know how open or closed that's going to be left. But every point of negative karma you get is going to turn you into something more monstrous until you become like a denizen of the hell. And that's the concept that I really like here. And so with that, what I'm imagining is, again, these are things where I said earlier that it's all about intention. And if you intentionally, commit evil, then that would give you negative karma. And good karma is done by committing good for its own, on its own, not, to get some reward, or, it's so good karma is going to have to be something where you do something significant, you do something, potentially putting yourself at risk to help somebody, that sort of thing. I haven't quite gone through all of it, but I know that there'll be 10 points on each side. I don't know if the good karma will give you transformations or not. Maybe. I haven't really thought of that yet. Also, you're not going to be able to die in this because this is hell. So I've been trying to think of how to resolve that issue. And one thing that I thought of is because in the Chinese hell, there's these. It's sort of like purgatory, where you're just tortured until you're ready to go on. And so I was thinking maybe if you die, then you just kind of go to like a torture chamber, and that's where your character is for the rest of the adventure, and that torture chamber will leave a mark on you in some way, so that you come back next adventure with the rest of the party, but you might be transformed by the torture that you underwent. And I don't know what that transformation will be. I don't want to layer on too many transformational things, but I think if I keep it to that and the karma, it might be okay, because again, this is already on top of the Strange Tales system. And so, I think that's everything that I had sort of thought of this morning and that I was thinking of doing. But it's definitely kind of getting refined. I definitely know I want these to be, they're going to be, when I say court, it's still going to be like a landmass with places, but there'll be like a seat with a magistrate, and that will be that's sort of the court. And I don't know, and again, it's 10 levels, 10 courts of hell, but I don't know if it's going to be the 10 courts of hell with the 10 Yama Kings. It might be, 10 other courts of hell, because there's a lot of courts of hell that are talked about. And there's a bunch that are just kind of like, they exist, but they're not, described. And so maybe it would be just one of these like other courts of hell, another 10 levels for people that, aren't particularly bad or something. I don't quite know yet. And I could do the Yama Kings, but then sometimes that feels like it might limit what I'll be able to do. So that's what I'm thinking so far. I got some graph paper last night, but I noticed I no longer have a 3-hole punch, so I'm gonna have to go get some different kind of graph paper in order to put it in my binder. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited about this. I like a lot of these ideas, and I like that I'm not just reading a story and then immediately making something based on the story. I'm liking that I'm doing each of these stories, and with each one, I'm kind of fleshing out my thoughts more on the subject. And again, I know these are stories that I've read before, but when you're reading them for a different goal, you focus on different things. And so I think that if you're familiar with the blog, you've probably seen like where I went through the stories in the Penguin edition and did all the different adventure ideas and concepts. So I've covered some of the other stories elsewhere, but this is different. I'm doing this in a different way, and also I think I do want to mention, I had said to people that the Chinese Classics version was the one I'm using. That's the one I recommend. I might have to change that recommendation because I found out that it's like really expensive. I got it as a Christmas present several years ago, and so I didn't realize that it's like over $129. I don't want people to spend that kind of money if they're trying to do something like this. So I would recommend the Penguin edition because that's fairly inexpensive and it's really well written. It's really well translated. It doesn't have all the stories, but it's got like 105 or something. So it's got a really good cross selection of stories, and it's also I think fairly accurate in terms of some of the content. I don't know about the actual translation of terms, but from what I've been told in terms of the stuff that is that maybe other translators have avoided putting in there that was in the original Strange Tales. That stuff's in there. So I would recommend that version instead. And yeah, so again, this is the name of this story is Mural. There's a Gordon Chan movie that is based on it, which I really wish I'd been able to get my hands on. I've never been able to find it. I think I found it in bootleg. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch the bootleg one day, but I'm always a little bit reluctant to do that. Um, I like watching it in its original form. I had a cousin that was really into bootleg stuff, and I mean, it's its own thing, and I don't mind doing that, but if I sort of was holding out hopes that I would be able to get like just like a regular release on DVD or Blu-ray. But the only one I've been able to find is like in Cantonese and Thai, which is not going to do me any good, and also it's very expensive. So yeah, so that's that. Again, I'm a little bit of a time crunch today. I know I've been doing these like 40-minute long ones, but today I'm doing this in between things, and I needed to get this one in within 10 minutes, so I tried to concentrate all my concepts and not waste too many words. Yeah, and it looks like what we'll be doing going forward is I will be having some people from some of the other podcasts come on for this one down the road. I'll probably also be posting more about sessions when those start coming up. But again, right now this is all just preliminary stuff. But I always liked the idea of afterlife campaigns, so I wanted to really explore that more fully, on the podcast and on the blog. And so, all right, I will head out, and until next time, I will talk to you later.